with a ticking clock and C4 bombs. Oh, the fact that we don't know where we go, man, where we go. Oh, my feet cannot stop moving and my knees are finally grooving. I can't sit much longer and wait all night.
Clear my mind, close my eyes, where am I? Bumpy right, looking out across the sky. As the wind blows in my face, there is water, water everywhere. How did I get here? Who is that man over there? My mind is blinded, it's all just a dream. Sails and rudder on the ship, rum and beer, I'll take a drink, and tomorrow I won't remember a thing. Sails and rudder on the ship, rum and beer, I'll take a drink, and tomorrow I will be hungover. What have I done? Can someone remind me? 'Cause to me this soul is just a blur. The last thing that I remember is the party, then nothing else. How did I get here? Who is that man over there? Will I ever find out? It's all just a dream. Tell myself, never will I do this again. Tell myself, it's not worth it. Tell myself no, but who cares? 'Cause tonight I will party. Sails and rudder on the ship, rum and beer, I'll take a drink, and tomorrow I won't remember a thing. Sails and rudder on the ship, rum and beer, I'll take a drink, and tomorrow I will be hungover.
Please don't get jealous of the things I've done, 'cause I have played my way through the better days. I will not be angry if you walk away, 'cause it just proves that you are not okay. I should've known from the start that I was starting something. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I should've known right from the start that it would end in nothing. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I can't help but feel the way I feel when I'm with you, when I'm with you. I can't help but feel the way I feel when I'm with you, when I'm with you. Please stop your yelling, you used to be so calm. You were my number one, but now you're just no fun. I showed you my hand and you played it repeatedly. Oh, and now it's time to go back into me. Oh, I should've known from the start that I was doing something. Oh, I should've known right from the start that it would end in nothing. I can't help but feel the way I feel when I'm with you, when I'm with you. I can't help but feel the way I feel when I'm with you, when I'm with you.
Oh no. He got all messed up. How did that happen? Oh, that's why. Oh no. Hi, friends. Accidentally messed up my screen for a second. Oh, the joys of streaming. Oh, it really got off. Oh my goodness, my life. Hi, everyone. How is everyone today? Just gonna fix my window real fast because it's gonna drive me crazy. I had it all pretty and then it decided to get all messed up. I don't know why it does that sometimes. Oh, the joys of streaming and the things that happen that you don't expect. There we go. It's like, I gotta make it pretty or it's gonna drive me crazy. Alright. Hi, friends. How is everyone? I am good. I had my first day of a real job in a long time today. It went by really fast, though, so that's nice. All I did was, like, wash dishes for 2 hours, but it was nice. Got to see little kids go through the lunch line and clean a bunch of trays and stuff, and yeah, it goes really quick, and it's nice. And it's nice that I can just, like, get things done. And everybody, like, who works there's, like, super laid back. They're just like, you've worked in a kitchen before, and I was like, yeah. So they're just like, okay, just go. And I was like, okay, and I just did it. And I think it was really helpful because there were only, like, 3 people there. So having, like, an extra body to, like, clean the dishes and stuff, I think made everything go way faster, so that was fun. Yeah, she said she's gonna, like, train me how to do the food and stuff, too, but right now they're just gonna have me do dishes to start, and then eventually she'll train me how to, like, prep the food and put it all away and actually serve the kids, because you have to, like, serve them certain things, and you have to make sure they have, like, certain nutritional things on their plates and stuff, so yeah, that's exciting. So I, worked a little on my Twitch last night. I have, like, actual things we can do now. like with your channel points. And my channel points I updated, so it's my little icon now. That made me happy. I was goofing around on my Twitch last night and just trying to like figure all that out because I had a little extra time before bed, so I was working on all that and making it look pretty and work. And now there's channel points, so if you guys have channel points, like, you can use those for things. I've got my like hats or whatever. You can use channel points to have me like wear, I guess they're not really hats, all of mine are like just like headbands with stuff on them, because I got my devil horns and I have like my Princess Peach crown and my Zelda crown and oh, what's the other thing I have? I don't even remember. But yeah, now you can use channel points for that kind of stuff. And then I added the sticker party stuff, but I don't know if it's working yet, so I might have to like figure that one out. Like, it's on there, but I don't know how people get it. Like, I thought it would be in the bits section, but I don't know, we'll see. But if we get to 2,000 bits, then the sticker party happens, and like, you can post stickers for a certain amount of time for free. So, today we're gonna watch Bart Ehrman, because I really like him. I think he's a really good, I don't know, person to like listen to and read. I've read a bunch of his books, so, and there's more I want to read because I just love everything that he puts out. And so I found Myth Vision. Somebody told me about Myth Vision. I can't remember who actually like talked to me about it and told me about it, but they told me about this broadcast, and I started watching some of the stuff on it because it was really interesting, and I just wanted to like learn more. And he seems to have like good people to come on and actually interview and do those kind of things. So, but this one's about Bible contradictions, and like these are Bart Ehrman's favorite Bible contradictions. So I thought we'd watch that and see what he says about the Bible contradictions and which ones are his favorite and why they're his favorite. I do like the Myth Vision podcast. Is it a podcast? Okay, yes, it's a podcast. But I watched one the other day about like the birth of Jesus, and like he actually had a guy on who talks about like the stars and things like that, because he's an actual like astronomy major and stuff, and he knows that kind of stuff. And he came on and talked a lot about how the things in the Bible, like, we know didn't happen. And there was another guy on there too, and I can't remember what he was, but it was really good. If you guys haven't like watched Myth Vision stuff, it's really good. A lot of it is really long, so it's hard to like sit down and watch it all in one long sitting. Because I know for me, I had to break it up, because like I think the Bible, my brain is not functioning today. The one they were talking about, like, Jesus' birth and the things that don't line up with, like, history and astronomy and stuff, I think it was, like, 2 or 3 hours long, so if you want to watch anything Myth Vision, you might have to watch it in, like, sections, because I had to, like, watch some of it one day and watch some of it another day, and, yeah, but I'm also one of those people that will just put in my wireless headphones and like listen to that kind of stuff while I'm cleaning my house, because that's a big way I learn too, is like I don't have to like actually watch the video. I can just listen to the podcast and actually hear what they're saying and just learn from that. So that's one thing I do too if I'm not listening to music, although I tend to listen to a lot more podcasts nowadays than music. But it's a good way to learn things and just listen to different ideas and different perspectives. So, alrighty, let's get into our video today. See what Bart has to say. I haven't seen this, so we'll see what he says.
We are Myth Vision. Welcome back to Myth Vision Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, the first thing I want you to do, go down in the description, check out the upcoming webinar on the nativity of Jesus Christ. Is it fact? Is it myth? Is it legend? Did it really happen? What's going on? All of this will be covered. There's going to be an all-day webinar with Dr. Bart D. Ehrman, and Ladies and gentlemen, the myth, the legend himself is here joining me today. How are you doing?
Doing well, thanks. Yeah, doing well. Looking forward to this webinar. It's going to be an all-day affair. 4 lectures with Q&A after each one, all day, December 5th, on what did the Christmas story really happen. Oh my God, it's really going to be really interesting.
I'll be honest, as a kid, I really enjoyed Santa coming more than I did the Jesus birth. But either way, I mean, not being funny, I'm dead serious. Like, wasn't that serious of a religious household growing up? But Dr. Ehrman, I'm going to do a little spin here because I think it's related to the topic, but I don't want to give away too many goodies. I want everybody to go and join us at the webinar to get their Christmas present from Santa Claus. And there you go. So I want to talk about 3 to 5 of your favorite contradictions. They're all subjective. This is your decision, and we'll just start with one and work from there. I'd like to pick 3 to 5 major contradictions in the New Testament that you really enjoy.
Okay, I'll tell you, first one I'll tell you is the one that made me realize that that the Bible's not inerrant. If people have read my stuff, they might have heard this one. But in Mark chapter 2, so let me just say, I was a fundamentalist. I thought there was no mistakes in the Bible of any kind, no contradictions. I could explain anything. And so, like fundamentalists today still can. And so, in Mark chapter 2, Jesus' disciples are going through the fields of grain. It's a Sabbath. They're hungry. They peel off some grain. They start eating it. And the Pharisees see them doing it. I guess Pharisees are in every corner in Galilee watching to see people eating grain on the Sabbath. They're doing it, and the Pharisees get really upset, and they say, Jesus, your disciples are harvesting grain on the Sabbath. You can't do that. And tell them to stop. And Jesus says, look, don't you remember what King David did when Abiathar was the high priest? He went into the temple and ate the showbread with his people, with his men, because they were hungry, even though only the priests are supposed to eat it. Sabbath was made for humans, not humans for the Sabbath. And so you have this story. So I had this class at Princeton Seminary, a Greek interpretation of Mark. My first semester is like, we studied Mark in Greek. And at the end, we had to write a term paper. I wrote a term paper on this passage because this passage says that this took place in the Old Testament when Abiathar was the high priest. But the Old Testament says that it took place when Ahimelech was the high priest, Abiathar's father. So I wrote a 30-page paper arguing that, in fact, even though it says that Abiathar was the high priest, it means that Ahimelech was the high priest. It's a very complicated argument, and with the grammar of the Greek and style,
That's amazing. Hi, color me a Satanist. It's just amazing to me, like, the way that your brain can function when you're in religion and how you will, like, do things like that, where you'll do these mental gymnastics to make it fit into the narrative that you're told it was, as opposed to him going, oh, maybe, Jesus misspoke in this part, or maybe whoever wrote this stuff down wrote the wrong name, or, maybe Jesus really did mess up. Like, it just shows you how far people will go and how much they'll twist things to fit it into the narrative that they want, versus being like, oh, maybe I am completely wrong and the Bible is not inerrant.
30 pages later, boom, it really was Ahimelech, and Jesus knew it. So at the end, my teacher was very pious and very devout Christian, but he wasn't a fundamentalist, but he was a very devout Christian. And he liked my paper, gave me an A on the paper. Then at the bottom he said, maybe Mark just made a mistake. And I thought,
Exactly.
that would be easier than a 30-page paper that's dancing around the problem. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. So once I realized that, it opened the floodgate. After that, I started finding all sorts of contradictions. And the thing is that sometimes
Jesus didn't say those things. Yeah, we have no proof that he even existed, so. But we have no proof that he did exist either, so. Once again, the whole myth versus historicity of Jesus, like, I don't like to fight about that.
Sometimes they're big, and sometimes they're little. But if somebody's a fundamentalist, the big ones don't bother you, because you can explain those away. Those are easy. It's the little ones that you think, oh, God, how do you do that? For example, here's another favorite one of mine. In the Gospel of Mark, I think it's chapter 5, there's a man who's a leader of a synagogue, whose daughter has gotten sick. And he comes up to Jesus and he says to Jesus, my daughter's sick, and could you come heal her because she's going to die? And Jesus says, okay. So Jesus starts going to his house, and before he can get there, he gets interrupted. Another thing happens. Somebody bothers, and he has to deal with this other thing. And by this time, the man's daughter's died. So he gets there, and it's too late. She's dead. I'm too late. Jesus says, don't worry about it. I'll heal her. And so he goes into the room. She's dead. And he raises her from the dead. That's Mark's gospel. Matthew's gospel says that what happened is, this guy's name is Jairus, by the way. His name is Jairus. Mm-hmm. So this is the story of Jairus' daughter, Jairus. And so in Matthew, it says, this man Jairus comes up to Jesus and he says, my daughter has just died. Can you do anything about it?
That's so weird.
In Mark's gospel, she wasn't dead
she
yet.
was alive.
The whole point, she wasn't dead yet. But
right.
In Matthew, she comes up, my daughter died. Can you do? So Jesus goes and he raises her from the dead. Okay, but it's like, which was it? It couldn't be both. So when I was a graduate student, I started to leave my view of the inerrancy of the Bible, that it was infallible. And we had a visiting scholar from Scandinavia.
It's crazy, like, those little things don't seem like a big deal, like, to Christians, because they're like, oh, it could have just been a mistake, or like, somebody just wrote down the wrong thing or whatever. But when you're outside of it and you look in from the outside and go, oh, like, this Bible that I thought was inerrant really isn't inerrant, and that everything that I was told about it doesn't really line up with what I actually know about the real world. And like he said, it's way more likely that there are human mistakes in the Bible than there are, like, that a lot of these things actually did happen. I think a lot of things in the Bible didn't happen. I think a lot of it is just myth and legend, but it's interesting just to see how people think differently. Mistakes were made, Bible as a whole. Yeah.
He's a very famous scholar who thought, he had these ideas about things, and who thought that there weren't mistakes in the New Testament. So I said, okay, so you got with the story of Jairus, like she's sick and then she dies, and the other one, she's dead ahead of time. So I said, which is it? And he said to me, it happened twice.
Oh.
First time it happened, the girl was sick and then she died. And later, like in a later episode, she died again, and she was, oh my God, are you serious?
Oh. The mental gymnastics it takes to do things like that is insane. It's like, when I did my whole video on, like, Jesus's birth and stuff, one of the, like, things that Christians will, like, come up and say, in order to make, like, the history that we know line up with what they want, the time period in which they want Jesus to be born, because they want it to make sense and they want it to line up with history, even though it doesn't. But their big thing is, like, they'll say that Quirinius had 2 different reigns in his time, because that's the only way they can get around the whole idea that, Herod and Quirinius weren't, like, ruling at the same time, because it said, like, Herod the Great, and then it also said Quirinius, but they were, like, I think they said they were, like, 9 years apart, and it was 9 years after Herod had supposedly died. So when you look at that and you realize, like, that's not what history actually says, and that's just something Christians made up to make the story go with what they believe, it's crazy the things that people will do to twist those, things in history, and just the ideas that we know of, and the evidence that we have that shows that these things didn't happen, and that they couldn't have happened in which the way they were written down. But Christians will do everything in their power to make it fit into that narrative, because they don't want to not believe that what they're being told is myth, or, just a story that someone made up. Like, they honestly want to believe that it's true, because to them, if it's not true, then, if you're a fundamentalist, your whole world falls apart, because when you believe everything is true and literal in the Bible, like I said, if one day you find out that something isn't true, like, that whole foundation that you had crumbles, and there's nothing left to back it up anymore. So you either have to just take it on faith, which I think a lot of people who double down when they find out that kind of stuff and stay in their religion anyway, that's kind of what they do. They just take it on faith. They're like, well, there's things I don't understand and God's ways are higher, so I'm just going to take it on faith and I'm not going to have all the answers. But then you have people who are more logical and they're thinking and go, well, maybe this was a mistake. Maybe the Bible isn't inerrant. Maybe everything in the Bible didn't happen literally like I was told growing up, you know? And eventually that becomes a crumbling wall. And it gets torn down real fast if you just, like, keep diving into those things and looking into them. Which, I love looking into those things. Like, I'm one of those people that will go down rabbit holes and, like, try to find as much information about a subject as I want to know. So, the meetups between Jesus and the devil in Matthew 4 and Luke 4 happen in a different order. Huh. I didn't know that. See, like, little things like that, you just don't even, like, realize it, because when they tell you in church, they never, like, read those passages together. Because it's always interesting to me, like, what would happen if during the Christmas, you know, sounds like me. Yeah, exactly, yes. I know you do that too, Awoken One, where you go down rabbit holes. It would be interesting if, like, a church actually read, like, during the Christmas season, if they read, like, the Matthew account and the Luke account right next to each other, because if you read those two stories together in church and realized that there are events that could not have happened together, like, you have to wonder, like, how many people would start thinking about it and be like, this is not adding up, and this doesn't sound right, and how many people would just ignore it because they don't want to know the truth about their religion. They don't want to think that they've wasted their entire lives on this book that they've been told their whole lives is literal and true and has no problems. Except my rabbit hole is the second coming in Daniel 7:13. Yeah. But I mean, at least you have, like, a specific rabbit hole that you want to go down. I always just go down whatever. If I'm researching something, I end up going off and finding more info on it. But yeah, that's a big thing about, like, when I came out of the church was I just went down as many rabbit holes as I could, and I read so many books by so many different people, and just understanding so much more than I thought I had before. I was just discussing with someone how the Trumpers are twisting reality about the vaccine since Trump admitted he got the shot. Well, and it wasn't a secret. Like, watch that P.O. box. Okay, I will, Tons of Mice. No, it's crazy to me because, like, if anybody was paying attention politically, like, he got his vaccine. He was one of the first people to get the vaccine, I'm pretty sure, like. But I know that, like, people in that part of the political spectrum won't believe that. You know, they're not gonna trust anything that is not told to them by Fox News or what's the other one? America's Only News Network or whatever. He did almost die from it. That would have been an interesting end to his story. And what would they have done? Oh, I'm sure they would have just started a new conspiracy. One American Network. There we go. I was gonna say, I know it's like something American Network. I don't even pay attention to that stuff because it's just so out there. Like, I think I've seen a couple of the One America stuff on, like, Hannah's channel, but I don't really pay attention to that. Fox News was kind of like the big thing when I was a kid, so everybody, like, watched Fox News, and, you know, I grew up in a house where my parents, they would pick me up from school and they would listen to Rush Limbaugh on the way home, so that's how I grew up. Clown American Network. They would have claimed that Trump faked his death to fight the cabal in the shadows. Yeah. Well, that's what they're doing with JFK and JFK Jr. right now. Like, they're claiming that they're really just, like, hiding out and controlling everything, and they're gonna somehow basically take over politics again and use Trump as their savior. the craziness that comes out of that side of politics I just can't even. I mean, like people said, like, the whole idea that, like, Trumpism is a cult is so true. Like, it has turned into a huge cult following, and it's just crazy to me that it's, like, it's a mixture of, like, evangelicals and Trumpers. And I don't get it, because it doesn't make any sense. But I'm really glad that I got out when I did, because the first time around, like, I was still, like, one of those people who was, like, super conservative and stuff, and I wasn't an atheist the first time Trump was elected, and I became an atheist during his, like, 4 years in office, and it really changed my mind on things once I became an atheist and looked at the damage that he was doing and seeing how detrimental it was to society, and just, it really made me glad that I was out, and that I didn't support that side anymore, and I didn't support, you know, taking people's rights away and allowing people to just do whatever the crap they want and hurt other people regardless of what is actually going on. And it's scary to me because I have family members that I look at and I'm like, oh my god, if I had not left Christianity, I would be just like them. Like, I would be a crazy Trumper who believed all of this conspiracy crap. I wouldn't have got vaccinated. Like, my kids probably wouldn't have got vaccinated. Like, I would be insane because that's the way I used to think. And now I look back and I'm like, I'm so glad that, like, I got out of that and I don't think that way anymore, because the way they think is so scary. Glad you made it out. Me too, because I just can't even imagine. Like, my life would be so much, it would be a completely different realm that I would be living in right now. But I'm really glad that I saw the light and I got out, and I'm not putting other people in danger, and I'm making sure that people around me are safe, and following all the, like, guidelines and stuff to make sure that we're gonna be okay. So,
Man.
And so I'll give you the third instance. I'll give you is one that I just recently I thought was really, really quite good. A year and a half ago, right before COVID hit, in February of 2020, I was in Chicago at a Christian apologists conference.
oh,
So, as you know, Christian apologists are defenders of the faith. They're conservative evangelicals or fundamentalists who think that, you know, that they can defend everything in the faith, that it's all logical, makes sense, and they can argue for it. Mm-hmm. This conference was on whether the Bible's contradictions in it or not, whether the Gospels have contradictions. They had 3 speakers there who were all very conservative evangelical apologists. And they had me because they wanted to hear another side of the story. And, you know, they wanted to see what they were up against. And so I went. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I thought, oh, this may not be good, but it was great. I had a great time. They were really nice. They were pleasant. We had jokes. We laughed. And there were a group of students there from Moody Bible Institute, where I had gone out of high school. So I was a graduate. I was a fundamentalist. And so I said, oh my God, let's have lunch together. They said, yeah, great. So we had lunch, and it was great. We told stories. It was a great time. But so we're having this thing, and I lay out the argument why there are contradictions, and these other guys are saying, yeah, no, they aren't contradictions. And, Michael Licona was one of the presenters there, who's one of the leading apologists today. He's a serious guy, and he has a PhD in New Testament studies, and so he's written books defending the Christian faith, including why you have these seem to have discrepancies in the Gospels. His view is that you do have these differences in the Gospels, but it's because the Gospel writers are following standard protocols for how you write biographies in the ancient world. So authors like Plutarch, for example, will write a biography, and he takes certain licenses and he does things in a certain way because it's just how you do a biography. And so Matthew, Mark, and Luke, John, they did they wrote biographies, so they're just following the biographers do things, and so in places it looks like you have discrepancies. So we give our talks, and Mike does his thing, I do my thing, and afterwards the moderator gets up, who's also a conservative evangelical, and he says, "Okay, so the four of you, I've got a question. I want you all to answer this. In Mark's gospel, Jesus sends out the disciples on his mission during his ministry to go out and heal the sick and cast out demons, and he says to them, don't take a backpack, don't take extra sandals, don't take any money, don't take a staff, just go." And so there you go. In Matthew's gospel, same episode, Jesus sends them out, go heal the sick, raise the dead, or cast out demons, and don't take a backpack, don't take extra sandals, don't take any extra money, and take a staff. Just the opposite of what Mark says. Mm-hmm. So the moderator says, "Okay, which did Jesus say?"
Don't know.
And I said, well, he probably said neither, because I don't think it's historical. I said, but I said, Mark's the earlier one. So when Mark says don't take a staff, Matt says he did take a staff. It's a contradiction. And he asked the other two. The other two kind of reconciled. They hemmed and hawed and come figure out some way. Oh, maybe it happened twice. So they kind of thing. We got to Licona. Mike Licona says, well, Mark is right. He said what Mark says. Don't take a staff. Okay. And then the moderator says, okay, to everybody, do you think Matthew's account is inerrant? I said, no. The other two said yes. And Licona says, yes, it's inerrant. I said, Mike, you just said that Matthew contradicts Mark. He says just the opposite of what Mark says. Mark says, don't take a staff. Matthew says, take a staff. And that's the opposite.
Yeah.
So, but now you're saying it's not an error. And I said, what would it be an error if a contradiction's not an error? He said, well, but Matthew meant to change it because he's following the protocols of writing biographers. So he knew what he was doing, so he changed it. Said, look, Mike, it doesn't matter if he meant to do it. Some people mean to lie. But just because they mean to lie doesn't mean it's not a lie. If you mean to make a contradiction, it's still a contradiction.
Yeah, how would that work if you walked in the door and your wife at 3 a.m. goes, "Where were you?" I was not at the strip club.
Yeah,
or,
oh, no, I was in bed with you.
That's crazy that they hats off. Okay, what do you want? I've got a peach crown, mini ears, devil ears, or a Zelda. Do you have a preference on what you want me to wear on my head? No? Yes? Okay. I'll just pick one then. If I can grab them. Guess we're going for mini. Put it behind. Get in there. If it stays put. Yeah, we'll see. Mini might not work. Alright. Mini's gonna just slide off my head. We'll do peach. You choose. Okay. Mini was sliding, so we're gonna do peach. Princess Peach. The princess is here. Zelda. We're doing peach right now. Alright. It's just, this is crazy to me that there's so many, laugh out loud, people that, will do these kind of things where they'll just, twist it in any way they can make it. And, when he's, he's talking about Mike Licona, he doesn't want to just say that, what he believes isn't true and that the Bible is not inerrant. He had to come up with an excuse because in his mind, the Bible is inerrant and it can't not be inerrant. Because if it's not inerrant and you're taught your whole life that it is inerrant, it doesn't work. And like Bart said, you can't just twist that around and make it the way that you want it to. And it just shows how dishonest that a lot of those apologetists are, is that it's not about you know, actually looking at it and like thinking about it critically, it has to fit into this bubble that they've been taught, and this bubble that a lot of people believe in. And if it doesn't fit in that bubble, then they just have to push it in, even if it's like a square going into a circle. Like, it's not gonna work, but they're gonna try to force it any way they can, because that's how they're taught and how other people see the Bible, and they can't change their views on it. And it's really hard. And I get it, like, it's hard to like separate when you're in a religion, like, reality from the religion, because that religion to you is reality. It is exactly what you think has happened in the world. It's exactly what you think, you know, God's plan is. And it's really hard to like change that mindset when it's been like indoctrinated into your brain for so long. But at some point, like, you have to concede that sometimes you are wrong and sometimes the Bible is wrong. So, but I guess for Lacona, like, he's gonna defend that and stick to it's inerrant, even if it's plain to everyone else that it's not. Like, he's gonna stick to the fact that he honestly believes it's inerrant, and he's gonna make an excuse for it, because he doesn't want there to be any reason for him to not believe it, I guess. That's the way I see it. Or other people not to believe it if he's just out there selling books. But, I mean, I don't know if that is his thing. Like, everybody seems to... I don't know who's in it for the money and who's in it for, like, actually believing it, so...
What? No, but it's not a contradiction, because I know it wasn't right. So those are three of my favorites.
Those are the
my
three.
goodness.
Hey, that's legendary. Dr. Bart
Those are great.
Ehrman, thank you so much. This has been fun. I hope you enjoyed those three contradictions. And do not forget to go to the webinar December the 5th, all-day event. Sign up now in the affiliate link down in the description. You'll get...
I wanted to go to that webinar, but I ended up not going, so that's okay. But I think someone said there was going to be... I don't know if that's the same webinar that, because Genetically Modified Skeptics said there was, like, going to be a seminar, and you can still, like, go watch it and stuff later. So if that's the one that it is, I might have to, like, go and look at it later and watch it, because I think that would be a really good seminar to actually look into. Because I remember Genetically Modified Skeptic had Bart Ehrman on his channel, and he talked about some of the, like, problems with the Christian story, and how hell fries, that hat looks like it would hold a large hell fries. It's Peach's crown, so I do have the entire outfit. I wanted to get my hats for the hats off stuff, since I have channel point stuff now. Also, if anybody has ideas for channel points, feel free to tell me, because this is all new to me, and I'm still trying to figure out how to, like, you know, reward you guys for hanging out with me and stuff, so. And it's fun. I like doing fun stuff like that. And I'm a weirdo and have a bunch of different, like, hats and stuff. Because, you know, I'm just a grown adult who has probably way more costumes than actual, like, dress-up clothes in my closet. I'm a geek. What can I say? Should we watch Should Christians Couples Live Together Before Marriage? Dun dun dun. This is the crap that I was raised on. Oh, we have a commercial first. Okay.
Somebody had a driver's license.
Hey guys, I've got a question for you.
So it's this guy. I always forget this guy's name. Every time. One of these days. Daniel? Is his name Daniel? I think his name might be Daniel. That sounds right to me. If anybody remembers. Because, like, I have these people saved, and then I forget their names, and I'm just like... I am horrible with names. That is something I am terrible at. Alright. So this is probably going to be the same stuff I heard, like, growing up, so we'll see what he says.
Should Christian couples live together before marriage? Well, there's a group who say no, because then they will live in temptation and it's not God's will. Then there's another group, and they say, well, it's not that big of a deal. It's not sin, so it's fine. The real question is, what does God's word, the Bible, say about it? That's what we're going to...
I don't know if the Bible really says anything about moving in together. I don't think I was ever, like, blatantly told, like, this is the Bible to... We look forward to seeing your costumes. Naughty Zelda. Yeah, I don't think there was a blatant, like, verse people used on me, like, in the purity culture stuff, like, about living together. It was more like that whole idea that, like, it's a slippery slope, that, like, if you're gonna stay pure for, like, marriage, if you end up moving in together, then you're more likely to fall into that, like, slippery slope, because even if you're not, like, sleeping in the same bed or whatever, there's always that potential to, like, eventually cross the line, which is ridiculous, because, like, you're grown adults, you should be able to do what you want, but, you know, there were always, I mean, I think about my past, and, like, I was very much, like, guarded against that kind of crap, and even, like, when my husband and me started, like, dating and stuff, like, we had people watching us and making sure that, like, we weren't alone together, and, you know, if we were alone together, it was, like, with other people, like, in the same house and stuff, like, I don't know, it was very much it's like your sex life was everybody else's business, when, in reality, like, we were freaking adults, and we were, I mean, even when we were engaged, like, we could have done anything we wanted, and it was nobody else's business, but the church and the people in the church made it their business, where it's like, oh, you gotta stay pure, like, don't move in together, don't do all this crap, and it's weird. It's weird that they're so obsessed with, like, other people's sex lives, and they have to know, like, that you're staying pure, and, like, the whole, like, accountability thing, too, especially for guys. That was a huge thing growing up in my church, is, like, guys having accountability partners so that they wouldn't, like, sleep around before they got married, or, like, look at porn or any of that stuff, because guys are more, like, visual when it comes to sex. That's what I was told. So, like, you have, and that was a huge part of it too, is, like, because they were more visual, like, I had to watch what I wore and how I presented myself, because, you know, even if I just walk a certain way, like, I'm gonna make a guy want to, like, sleep with me, and it's like, looking back on it, it's all just such BS, and so ridiculous that so many people are so obsessed with, like, teenagers and young adults' sex lives. Like, it really was none of their business at all, but it was almost to a point of, like, obsession, where they would just constantly hound you, and there's no way that was healthy for anybody in those circumstances.
We're going to talk about in this video. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get to it. Now, just very quick, if it's the first time that you hear my channel, my name is Daniel, and welcome to DLM Christian
I got the right
Lifestyle.
name.
If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider it, and also click that notification bell so you won't miss any of our future videos. Now, is it okay to live together as Christians before marriage, a Christian couple? Well, it depends on what you define as living together. And we already know, most of the world, they see living together as...
Oh goodness, here we go. The whole, like, your definition versus the world's definition, because you're supposed to be in the world, but not of the world.
As sharing the same house and sharing the same bed. Yes, that means having a sexual relationship. Even when we look at the dictionary, we see it. The Merriam-Webster dictionary says living together means to live with another person and have sex without being married. And the Cambridge dictionary says live together means if two people live together, they share a house and have a sexual relationship but are not married. Nowadays, many young people live together before they get married. Now, if this is what you mean by living together, then yes.
Which I can say as someone who's only been married to one person most of my adult life. Like, living together before you get married, I think, is the smarter option because you don't know how people are when you actually live with them versus you're just dating or even, like, engaged, and things don't always turn out the way that you expect them to be. And I think, moving forward in my life and, like, looking back at my past and looking forward at my future, it's like, yeah, I don't think I would ever, like, get married again without, actually living with someone for a while and making sure that they, like, are on the same page with me on a lot of things, because after being married for 12 years and finding out that, like, you and your partner are not on the same page when it comes to certain things in the household, and there was no way you would have known that because we didn't live together before we were married, and we got engaged after 6 months and got married a year after we started dating. So yeah, things change, but at the same time, there were things there that we could have, like, figured out and worked out in the beginning, as opposed to, like, letting them go all these years, and now it's gotten to the point where, like, we can't change it and we just have to move on with our lives. But, like, my advice to anyone who's young is, like, don't get married too young, and make sure, like, the person that you marry is, like, compatible with you in all aspects of your life, because I feel like Christianity, the only thing that they care about with compatibility is that you're both Christian and you both serve God. And that, since that's, like, your main focus, if that's the reason you get married, like, those things don't always work out, and people change, and ideas, even the way you believe or your ideas of when you're young can change to when you're much older, and can, look at me, I got married when I was a Christian and now I'm an atheist, so it's like different viewpoints and different things that happen throughout your life. And just marrying someone because they're the same faith as you is not a good reason to get married.
It is wrong. It is a sin. Sex before marriage is clearly a sin in the Bible, because sex is only meant for the marriage. Sex outside the marriage, that is sexual immorality. Ephesians 5 verse 3 says, "But sexual immorality and all impurity or covetousness must not even be named among you, as is proper among saints." You see, as Christians, we are called to live holy before God, to be set apart. That's why I have this t-shirt on today. We are
Except they don't leave it. They leave it. Talking too fast. They leave out the whole, like, marriage in the Bible was not about love and respect and treating each other, it wasn't one man and one woman. It was one man and as many women as he wanted, and they were not people, they were property, and he could do whatever he wanted to them. Like, they leave all of that out, and they don't tell you that, even though, like, it's blatantly obvious in the Bible that women are not people, and blatantly obvious that men can marry more than one woman, because a lot of, like, the Old Testament men had more than one wife and had a lot of kids. So
supposed to be set apart from the sinful world, not to be like them. And today, a lot of unbelievers think it's okay to have sex before marriage. The media even brainwashes everyone so much with movies, TV series, with almost everything out there. on the internet that people start to think that it's weird or they have to feel ashamed if they are a virgin before marriage. Today, even a virgin before you're 16. It's crazy.
Which is ironic because I grew up in the opposite culture where, like, they would shame you if you did have sex before marriage. Like, they made it a big deal and that you had to be a virgin when you got married. Otherwise, like, you were the weird one out. So I guess for me, like, I grew up in a very opposite, like, worldview of that, and yeah, I don't know how Christians, like, he can sit there and say that, but at the same time, like, Christianity definitely pushes that on people too, where it's like, they're gonna shame you if you do cross those lines or do anything that you're not supposed to do because it's a sin.
Don't let this sinful world...
Ads!
So I guess your girl
Don't
is
like
a
ads.
fan now. Daily Harvest literally does all the work.
No ads!
with so many broken relationships influence you. Romans 12 verse 2 says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." Some Christians are influenced so easily by this sinful world, and they have sex before marriage. Some people with a lot of people before marriage. And then these experiences they had ruins the marriage when they get married, because they come into the marriage with a lot of baggage. 1 Corinthians 5 verse 1 says, "It is actually reported that there is sexual immorality among you, and of a kind that is not tolerated even among pagans.
Not
For a man
tolerated
has his father's
among
wife,
heathens?
and you are arrogant."
Okay, I don't know about you, but most heathens I know, like, they don't, like, there's no, like, lines like there that Peabody wanker. Oh. It's utterly ridiculous, though. I don't know. Purity culture is just disgusting to me because I grew up in it, and it really just messes with people's minds in not good ways. And I don't see anything. He lives in a van down by the river. That's not creepy at all. He's not a clown, is he?
Again, ought you not rather to mourn? Let him who has done this be removed from among you. Any form of sexual immorality is wrong. And remember this, if you are a true Christian, you have the spirit of self-control in you. 1 Thessalonians 4 verse 3 says, "For this is the will of God, your sanctification, that you abstain from sexual immorality, that each one of you know how to control his own body in holiness and honor, not in the passion of lust, like the Gentiles who do not know God." And 1 Corinthians 7 verse 2 says, "But because of the temptation to sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife, and each woman her own husband." Now listen, sex is not evil. Sex is good. God created it for the marriage. And you can only have sexual fulfillment with it.
He sells used cars to put himself through clown school. Oh my god. Oh.
The marriage, not outside of it. Sexual immorality is wrong, and it's clear throughout Scripture. Ephesians 5 verse 5 says, "For you may be sure of this, that everyone who is sexually
Only for women, though. Because, I'm trying to remember, like, in the Old Testament, if they killed any guys for it. Because it seems like every time a guy was, like, caught doing that stuff, he wasn't, like... Because I know when it came to, like, taking advantage of people, like, the guy could just marry the girl after that. But I think there was one where they got caught in adultery and they just killed the woman and the man. I'm trying to remember all the Bible stories now, but... yeah. It's most of the time in the Bible, it's very one-sided and very, like, it's all the woman's fault, because apparently we're, like, seductive vixens that just take advantage of men. Which, I don't understand that whole mindset, but that's pretty much the mindset that I was raised in, where it was like, it's your fault if anything happens, because you looked at him wrong, or you wore a tank top, or, like, not like he doesn't, it's victim blaming, and it's very much making women out to be the bad guys. Even though, like, we're just people. Like, we're people, and guys are people. Everybody has, like, their own sexuality, and they're gonna, you know, think and do what they want to do. But at the same time, like, most people are good, and they're not gonna take advantage of that. But when you're taught your whole life to, like, not give in to those urges, it just causes monsters, because those monsters end up giving into their urges in places that they shouldn't.
Immoral or impure, or who is covetous, that is, an idolater, has no inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and God. Now, if you mean by living together, you mean just living together, sharing the same house, but different rooms, and not having sexual relationships, then the Bible does not say anything about this. It doesn't say it's a sin. But there are a few things that you need to take in consideration.
Here we go. The slippery slope of Christianity.
The first thing. If you stay with a guy or a girl that you like, you will live in temptation. Don't fool yourself here. I was there too. And 2 Timothy 2 verse 22 says, "So flee youthful passions and pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace, along with those who call on the Lord from a pure heart." Now, a lot of people make emotional decisions and then they justify it with their logic. For example, you might say, well, let's do it because we'll save money. Or let's do it because then I'll see what kind of person he or she really is.
Exactly.
Are they tidy? Do they clean their dishes? All of these things.
I mean, I think that's really important to know before you, like, sign a freaking contract that you're, like, gonna be stuck in, or you have to go through this huge legal process to get out of, when you could have saved yourself a lot of time and money, you know, actually, finding that stuff out before you sign a legal contract that's going to take time and money to get out of. I love, or starting a word train over here.
But let me ask you, is it worth it to do it, to live this way, and then live in temptation, or increasing your chances to disobey God? Well, you might say, no, I won't do anything. Well, how about this verse? Matthew 5 verse 28. "But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart."
Thought control, man. It's not cool. People should be able to think and do what they want within the realms of, like, the law. I'll bet Peabody gives the same rap, a little tweak to women he wants to sleep with. Yeah. We never finished the I love. It just says I love. Damn it, Sons of Mice. I was gonna say, I think Color Me Satanist was waiting for you to finish that sentence. It didn't get finished. It just says, I love.
The police said they had arrested somebody with my driver's license.
Number 2, be careful of how other people see you. If you profess to be a Christian, a reborn Christian, who loves God, who puts Him first in your life, but you live together with another man or another woman, how will the world see you? Is that a good example of what a Christian is? Especially because they think living together means sex before marriage as well. And what will other Christians think? Especially...
I mean, what if you're just a clowns? That's hilarious, because I was just thinking that. I was like, somebody's gonna put clowns. It's always funny to me that, like, they talk about, you know, opposite sex living together and how it's not okay because you can fall into temptation or whatever. But if you're living with, like, a same-sex person and you are, like, bi or a lesbian or gay, like, are they gonna look at you that way too? I mean, if they don't know you are, of course they're not, but at the same time, it's like, they only draw the line for heterosexual couples, and that's what's so frustrating, is like, you know, all these people can live together and not have any sexual relations, but just because it's the opposite sex doesn't mean they're gonna sleep together. I mean, of course, if they're dating, that's one thing, but I don't see the problem with living with the opposite sex, even as friends. I mean, I had friends in college, like, if I had the option, that were guys that I wouldn't have had a problem with, like, just, you know, sharing a room with, or sharing a house with, or whatever, like, because we have separate areas that we could, like, go and get changed or whatever. It wouldn't be a big deal to me. But I guess for me, it's not as big of a deal, because, like, I grew up sharing a room with my brother for a while, so for me, it's like, I know I can live somewhere with the opposite sex and be fine. And I have lots of guy friends that I would totally just be okay living with, and there's not gonna be, like, that temptation and stuff there. But Christianity very much focuses on the fact that, like, even if you live in a house that with just friends that are guys or whatever, you always have that, like, ability to have that temptation. And it's just funny to me, because I think about some of my friends in, like, high school and college, and I'm like, those guys were, like, friends. Like, some of them were, like, almost like brothers to me, because I hung out with them so much. And it's like, there's no way I would ever, you know, cross the line with some of those people, because those, like, I don't know. It's hard to explain that to, like, Christians, because Christians don't believe that yada yada, there's Three's Company too. Yeah, Christians believe that anyone opposite sex lives together, like, you're gonna fall into temptation. But I think about it in my past, and I'm like, yeah, that's not true, because I have guy friends that there's no way I would ever, like, I don't have attraction towards those people. Like, they were really close guy friends, and I loved hanging out with them, and I loved, you know, spending time with them and stuff, but I was not attracted to them in that way. And I don't see any problem. Even as Christians, like, if you're not dating someone and you just move in as friends, I don't see an issue with that. But, you know, Christians always have this idea that men and women can't be friends. Like, I was told that growing up a lot, is like, men and women can't be friends because there's always that sexual tension there, and you're never gonna be able to not have it. And I'm like, I have it with a lot of guys. Like, I'm friends with a lot of guys that I was not attracted to, and they were more like brothers to me or whatever. They were more like family to me. But for some reasons, Christians have it in their head that that is just not something that can ever be done. Like, there's no way you're not gonna have, like, temptation to ever just jump the guy that you're living with. Like, but okay. Which is funny, because they sit there and they're like, oh yeah, we have the spirit of self-control in us, but you're literally sitting there telling me that I can't be friends with a guy because there's always gonna be some sort of issue between us because we're opposite sex. And that doesn't even, I don't know. It's kind of frustrating to me. And especially in this day and age where, you know, there are a lot more people who are out and able to live with the people that they actually love and, you know, not have to get married and stuff. And you don't see the Christians complaining about 2 girls living together or 2 guys living together unless they like find out that they're living an alternative lifestyle, as they say. It's dumb. It's so stupid. But yeah, it's very much triggered towards guys and girls and how you can't just have a friend relationship. Like, that's not possible. And it's ridiculous. It drives me crazy. They've seen your closet full of costumes. Oh no. You can tempt me with sex all you want. I'm not interested. Well, see, and there's that too. Like, people don't understand that there are people that, yeah, aces. They don't understand that at all. And they don't get how people can't be, I don't know, physical with other people. They just have it in their mind that, like, you have to grow up, you have to get married, you have to have sex with your husband or wife, and you have to have kids, and, like, there's this whole path that they have planned out for everyone, and they want everyone to live that way. And if you don't live that way, then they chastise you for it and tell you that you're wrong and you're not living in God's word or whatever. But I don't know, it's kind of ridiculous in my mind. They've seen my costumes. Yeah, but I think even some of those guy friends, even if they saw those costumes, they would just be like, okay, whatever, she's my geeky friend, like.
Actually, Christians who are still new in their faith, when they look at you, will they then think, all right, sex before marriage is fine because they do it? Romans 14 verse 13 says, decide never to put a stumbling block or a hindrance in the way of a brother. Number 3, saying that you will be married is not the same as really being married. Some Christian couples, they think
their role models are horny preachers. Oh my god. Probably. I mean, the Catholic Church has a lot of celibate priests, so, you know, we all know how that works.
Well, we are going to be married anyway, so why don't we just have sex anyway, because we are married before God. Well, being married in your head is different from being really married before God Almighty.
Why?
Feeling married and actually being married are 2 very different things.
No, it's not.
If your fleshly desires are too much for you to handle, then why don't you just get married?
Because it's a legal contract that's binding, and it's not easy to get out of, and it causes a lot of problems. Like, this is the thing that frustrates me about Christians too, is that they don't look into the future and go, oh, like, if things go badly and we have to, like, break up, like, is it gonna be worth it to go through the legal process of all that, or is it better for us to just live together and not be married, or just have a religious ceremony? I mean, some people don't even have legal ceremonies, like, they'll just have a religious ceremony and say they're married. So does he count them not married because they're only married before God? Because some people don't want to go through the hassle of, like, all the legal stuff you have to do. Because even when you get married, you have to, like, go down to the courthouse and you have to get a license, and you have to, like, change your name on all your documents, and you have to go to all the different, like, well, at least women or men, but mostly women who have to go change their names on everything. And you have to go to, like, the actual, like, buildings and stuff and take all your identification with you, and, like, it's not an easy process to do. So, like, I don't know why they think just getting married is, like, the best thing ever, because there's a lot of legal stuff that goes with that, and then when you have to get divorced, there's a lot more legal stuff that you have to deal with. So, like, marriage should definitely be a long-term commitment that you, like, you should know 100%, I think, before you get married. And there's no guarantee that your marriage isn't going to end. Like, statistically, 50% of all marriages end, so statistically, your marriage is likely to end. So, And I don't know. Just having a piece of paper just so that you can have sex is kind of ridiculous. Like, but I know that's how Christians think. It's like, I have to do what God says I have to do, and God says that I can't do these things until I'm married, even though, you know, sexual compatibility is also a thing that people don't know about when they're young, and they don't understand until, you know, after they might get married, and that can really mess up a relationship too.
1 Corinthians 7 verse 8 says, "To the unmarried and the widows, I say that it is good for them to remain single as I am. But
Was that Paul?
if they cannot exercise self-control,
I
they
swear,
should
Paul.
marry, for it is..."
I think Paul just had, like, issues. I don't know what they were. I don't know. You know what? Maybe I'll take that back. Maybe Paul was just ace too. Who knows? But he shouldn't have to force that on everyone else. Let people, like, explore their own sexuality. I'm not looking to get married. I just want someone to spend the rest of my life with. Yeah. Yeah, and I think a lot more people are, like, living that way a lot more. I feel like a lot of people in my generation that I know that are still religious, they all definitely got married young. But I also know a lot of people in my generation who have left the church, and they're not as interested in marriage as much as in, like, they're more interested in, like, spending their life with someone, and they don't have to have, like, a legal contract to do it, and yeah, there's just so much that goes into it, and I honestly think that I think it's funny that they're always like, it's much harder to get divorced than it is to get married. Like, it should be the other way around. Like, there should be, like, things that you have to do before you get married so that, you know that's the person that you're compatible with, and that's the person that you want to spend time with and have a life with, as opposed to, you know, everyone in your church being like, oh, you're 20, like, when are you getting married? Like, oh, you've been dating your husband, or you've been dating your boyfriend for 6 months, like, are you guys gonna get engaged soon, get married, like, what's happening? Just that push to, like, be in the box that they want you to be. And I think that was a huge part of me growing up too, is because, like, I was told from birth, like, your entire objective in life was to grow up, get married to a godly man, and have kids, and be a mom and a wife. So, you know, I never explored, like, other things I wanted to do in life, and I never, like, you know, went for a career or anything, because I always thought, like, I was doing God's plan and what he wanted of me, and this is what I'm supposed to do as a woman. But I think more women today are seeing that that's not, you know, what they want. Like, they want to have careers, they want to be able to do things on their own and be their own person, and, I don't know, live their own lives before they settle down. And that's why I think a lot more people are getting married, excuse me, at an older age, because they said, like, what the average age to get married now is, like, between 30 and 35 or something, as opposed to, like, my parents' generation, or, like, the generation before, where they were getting married way younger. Like, I think my grandparents, one of my grandparents, I want to say one of them was married when they were, like, 16 or 17, and, like, but I don't remember which one. But still, like, they were still marrying people very young, and not, like, just a couple generations ago, and that's crazy to me, to, like, think that, like, you know, people were getting married when they were still teenager age, and now, like, people are waiting till they're, like, 30 to 35 to even, like, start thinking about, you know, having a family and stuff. So I don't know. for me, I'm kind of glad that I had kids young because I can keep up with them a lot more, I feel like. And just I have more freedom to do that, I feel like, as opposed to if I had waited. Because now I'm like, now that I'm 33 and I'm like starting to slow down and get a little bit more tired and stuff, it's like, I'm glad I had them when I was younger because I had a lot more energy to like chase them around the house and stuff. And like, I know people are like, 33 isn't old, but at the same time, I don't want to be like a 50-year-old parent, so. But I mean, some people like that, so I don't know. Everybody has their own ideas of what they want in life, so. But I don't think you should rush into marriage just because, you know, people in your church tell you that you need to get married or that you need a piece of paper to live together or to have sex or any of that. I think that is a huge detriment to the younger people in the churches because you barely know who you are when you get married, and people change and they become something else, and you know you're not gonna know what's gonna happen in like 5 to 10 years. So I was married and became a father at 19. Oh my gosh. I don't think I had my first kid till I was 25. Is that right? 24 or 25. So, but even then people will be like, oh, that is so young. Like, but did you have tons of mice? Lots of mice.
It's better to marry than to burn with passion. Now please understand this. Marriage is not just you and your husband or you and your wife.
No, just one.
It's much more than that. A lot of people take marriage too lightly, and that is why there are so many divorces out there in the world.
No, people take marriage too lightly because they're told growing up in a religious household that that is what they are supposed to do. They're not told that you have to have compatibility with your partner. They're not told how to build a strong foundation and a strong partnership with the other person. Like, you're a child getting married to another child. Like, you don't know what you're doing. You have no idea what's happening. You don't know how to, like... I mean, I seriously went from my childhood home to Christian Bible college to marriage. Like, there was no, like, living on my own because I had grown up in this bubble where I was, like, lived in a Christian household, I went to a Christian school, and then I got married to a Christian man, and I was gonna, you know, live my Christian life out. But I can tell you what, at 21, I didn't know anything about the world. Like, I had no idea what I was doing, and I know my husband had no idea what he was doing, and we had a lot of people, like, help us find the stuff we need to do to get set up. Like, we had to get an apartment, and we had to, you know, have stuff for our house and things like that. And that's not something that we just figured out overnight. And even, like, paying bills and stuff, neither one of us ever was, like, in a place where we were just on our own before we got married. Like, we went from being kids in a house to being kids who were in college to being kids who were married. And there's just so much more life that you haven't experienced yet and you don't understand. And so when you get married that young, it's like getting thrown to the lions because you don't know what you're doing, and making that someone's entire, like, reality where that's where they have what they have to do, like, that's the next step, is it's not healthy for anybody. Like, I don't think people should get married super young because they don't know who they are and they don't understand the world at all, and they don't understand how to be a good partner to the other person because they've never, you know, been in a relationship, you know, long enough to actually, like, build that foundation and stuff. So at least from my experience and from other people that I have seen that have gotten married in the church, like, it's not about, the problem is it's not about finding someone who's compatible with you. Like, you don't look at those steps that you need to take and like, oh, someone who I can actually have like deep conversations with, and someone who has similar interests as me, and someone who like actually likes me for who I am and is okay with like listening to me vent when I get home from work and I'm frustrated. Like, those are things they don't tell you about, and people get thrown into these marriages and they don't know how to deal with those things because they grow up very differently, and it makes it really difficult to have that relationship or keep that relationship because you don't have similar interests. The only thing that was holding you together in the first place was your religion and the fact that you were serving this God, and all the other stuff kind of just went on the back burner because you weren't able to actually take time to learn who that person was in a deeper sense and actually connect with them in a way that would, you know, make that bond and that connection and have that human connection with someone. And I don't know. I'm just blobbing away. But yeah, rushing into marriage is not a good idea. And I don't think anyone should just get married because like a book tells you to get married before you do things. Like, I think religion is very detrimental to relationships and people actually finding what they want in a partner and what they need in a partner versus I don't know. Posture check. Okay. I'm sitting up straight. Make sure I'm not slouching. Hydrate. I got my soda. Now everybody's just gonna do all those things on there because they know they're there. Yeah, but blaming divorce on, you know, I don't know. I think Christians blame divorce on things that is not actually happening. People don't get divorced because whatever. They get divorced because they don't have that strong foundation. And unfortunately, religion makes that worse.
Marriage is a serious commitment between you, your partner, and God. It is God who joins the man and the woman together in a holy marriage to become one flesh. Matthew 19 verse 4 says, "Have you not read that he who created them from the beginning made them male and female, and said, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let not man separate." Marriage is special. And
I feel like that plays into the whole idea that women are property and not a person. Because it basically makes it like you're told like the man is in charge and he's the one who has to make all the major decisions and stuff, and you know, the whole one flesh thing is like basically like growing up in the church, it boiled down to the fact that if you and your husband are having an argument or something and you can't agree on something because he's the male, he gets his decision outweighs your decision. So basically you don't have a say in a lot of things in your own life because, you know, he's the one who has the dick, so he's the one who gets to decide because apparently people with dicks are closer to God. So because that's how they teach you growing up in the church. Like, you're worth more if you're a man than if you're a woman. And women don't get as many privileges, and men get the highest privilege. And at the end of the day, if it boils down to you against him, like, in Godland, that is, his word goes over yours. And unfortunately, I feel like that has been used to abuse women in the church too, because they're not able to have a partner that will actually compromise with them. Because they don't feel like they have to compromise because they're the more godly one because they're a guy.
And it should be held in honor. Hebrews 13 verse 4 says, "Let marriage be held in honor among all, and let the marriage bed be undefiled, for God will judge the sexually immoral and adulterous." Now, this might not be serious for this sinful world. If you look at all the marriages and the relationships and how they see marriage, it truly is so sad, because a lot of people out there are being hurt, especially children. Marriage is a huge decision. If you're not married yet, don't be hasty, but pray to God to send you the right partner.
Don't be hasty. But if you're gonna want to have sex, then you better get married before you do it. Like, oh my god. Do you know that what message that sends to so many horny teenagers in the church? Like, and you wonder why so many people in religion get married at like 19, 20, 21, when they're still like kids and barely know anything about the world.
Wait for him. He will lead you. Never go into a marriage if you're uncertain that it's God's will. You need to be sure, because you'll spend your whole life with this person. Proverbs 3 verse 5 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths." Now, if you go into a marriage, don't go into it without God. Because if you do, you will never truly understand what a real marriage really is. And don't be too hasty either, but wait on God. Wait for Him, because He knows when the time is perfect. You need to focus on growing spiritually first to become the right man or the right wife, instead of searching for the right partner. Now, if
This is so like horrible too, because they basically tell you growing up, from my point of view, because I was a girl growing up in the church, that your entire life, like, you're supposed to save yourself for like this one person that God's gonna put like in your path, who you're gonna marry. But at the same time, like, they always told us to like pray for that person and like make sure that they were gonna be like this godly person who does everything right. And I can tell you, I was one of those people who did that. Like, I prayed for my future husband, and I prayed for my future kids, and it's just ridiculous the things that I did when I was a Christian, because I'm just like, oh my god, that's so cringe now. It's like, that's not what I want in life. I want, you know, someone who's gonna be logical and, whoa, who was that? Scavar 4000. Thanks for subscribing. But yeah, I want someone who's actually gonna be, you know, I want someone who's actually gonna like me for me. And I think that's a huge problem in the church, is like, people don't, when you're dating and you're in that whole infatuation stage with someone, you don't see the flaws, and you don't see the things that, you know, you're not compatible with them, or that are gonna cause problems in the future, because you rush into this legally binding contract that ends up being a pain in the butt later in life if you end up like changing or being a different person or whatever. But I don't know, it's just so weird to me that they Christianity pushes the whole narrative that like, you don't rush into marriage, but don't cross that line either. And if you cross that line, like, God's gonna punish you. it's so detrimental to like teenagers in the church because I'm sorry, but teenagers are horny and they're gonna do anything they can to like not quite cross those lines, but cross them just enough that things are gonna happen and that people are gonna rush into marriage because of that. It's a very bad message to send anyone, I feel like. But at the end of the day, like, they're adults and they still have to make their own decisions, so I just hope like the next generation understands that, and that you need to like find someone who actually likes you and not just because they're the same religion as you or they believe the same things as you, or I don't know. I think the biggest problem with like Christian marriage is that God is in it, because it makes it seem like if God is in it, then everything will be okay and beautiful and amazing and your life will turn out perfect because this is God's plan for you. But I've seen the opposite in a lot of people's lives that have gotten married in the church, and how they turn into these old, like, grumpy, unhappy people who don't want to be with their spouse, but they refuse to leave because they think divorce is like one of the worst sins you could commit. Like, you can't get divorced either, so they just stay unhappy and married and sad. And I don't know, I feel like religion is very detrimental to just human relationships in general, because you don't focus on the relationship with that other person. You focus on God being the center of that relationship and making that relationship something, I don't know, that it's not. Like, oh, God put this person in my life and this is the person I'm supposed to marry, so I'm gonna marry them. Even though, like, we might not have the same interests, or we might not be able to, like, be compatible in certain things. And I mean, you don't have to be compatible on everything, but I think a big thing is, like, you should like the person you marry. Like, if you don't like their personality and you don't like the way they talk, or, you know, I don't know, the way that they do certain things or whatever, like, that's something you should know before you marry someone. So, and just having human connection too. I think a big part of relationships is connection, and I feel like a lot of people who rush into marriage when they're in the church, like, they don't connect on those deeper levels like they should, and actually find out what kind of person they are and what kind of person they might need in a partner and what they might want in a partner, versus like, oh, God's on our side, so we got this. Like, I don't know. I'm babbling. Babbling about life.
If you want more relationship advice, please watch one of these videos here, and I'll see you there.
Oh, more relationship
and always remember
advice.
this: God loves you, and I love you too. Bye.
Oh my goodness. Bad relationship advice. Don't do anything he said, because it's not great. Yeah. Just find someone that you can actually, like, deeply connect with and not, I don't know. That would be my advice to young people. The way their lovers leave their socks on the floor. Yeah, like, I was talking to my therapist the other day about that kind of stuff, and, like, she was talking about how, like, if you get married, like, there should be, like, certain things that, like, bother you but aren't deal breakers, but there are, like, certain things that are deal breakers. Like, some people don't like smoking, and they don't want to be married to someone who smokes. So, like, yes, they love the other person, but if they're a smoker and they don't want to be around that smoke, like, is that person willing to give that up to be with that person? Or just, like, little things like that, where it's not, like, I mean, that was a big deal to, like, certain people, but I don't know. I'm slowly making a list of, like, what I want in a future person if I end up finding another person in my life. And if I don't, then I'll just be single. But, yeah, and that's the thing, too, is, like, I feel like when I was younger, like, I didn't have that. It wasn't, like, oh, I want, you know, someone who, like, has this same interest as me, or, you know, we can go, like, travel together and stuff. Like, that's not stuff I ever, like, thought about when I got married so young. It was very much like, oh, we're both Christian, and we're doing God's will, so let's get married. So, are the stocks stiff, though? Oh, goodness. So, yeah. I'm working on, I don't know, that kind of stuff, and hopefully the next generations and generations after us, like, spend more time thinking about that stuff and not dive in when they're so young. And tease list, no clowns. Yeah, no clowns, please. My crown got, like, flat. It was in the closet, so I think it just got smushed in the closet. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I don't know what's gonna happen. Who knows? I have a new job now, though. That's nice. That was fun this morning. Washing dishes. Scavar 4000. There we go. I couldn't see, like, the subscribe stuff when it popped up. I forgot I have my YouTube link too, so somebody subscribe to my YouTube. But that's cool too. You're a dishwasher now? Yeah. I work in the school district my kids go to. They needed, like, extra help in the kitchen, so they're having me start as a dishwasher, and then they're gonna, like, move me up to, like, helping make or, like, serve the food and stuff like that, so I can do, like, all the things in the kitchen, so I can help out when they need it, and, like, prep food and all that stuff. So awesome. Yeah, it's nice, and it's only, like, 2 hours a day, so, and it's right in the middle of the day, so, like, it's a lunch shift where I can go in. Thank you. Yes, thank you. It's really easy, and yeah, I can go in during the day, do my 2 hours, and then go home, and then still have time to, like, go pick up my kids and take care of them and have them do their homework and stuff. So, lunch lady. Yes, I am a lunch lady. It's one of my jobs. I have so many jobs, it's not even funny. But, like, how that's, like, my real job because it's the only job that I've actually been, like, hired to do. I guess that's not true, though, because cleaning the church I was hired to do, too. I just kind of ended up in that job. Because when we started, my husband and me cleaned the church together, and then eventually when he got a full-time job, it just turned into him working at his job and me cleaning the church. So that's what ended up happening. Yeah, I have, like, 4 jobs, but, like, I like how I call, like, my lunch lady job my real job. It's, like, the one job that I was hired to do. And then, like, the church job I kind of just got grandfathered in, kind of. And, you know, I do, like, Uber on the side, and what's my other one? I have so many things I do, it's not even funny. I just do little things here and there. I'm just one of those people that, like, I like to have my own time to, like, do stuff. Because, like, I like to stream, like, here, and I like to do my YouTube channel and things. So, like, having jobs that I can work around, not just, like, my schedule, but, like, my kids' schedule. So I just gotta make it all work in a way that works for me and works for them and works for, you know, the other jobs that I have, so. But it'll all work out. It'll be good. Yep. That's my spiel for today. I gotta figure out how to do sticker party, because that's gonna be fun. But I don't know. I think I have to, like, add it into the... I admire that. Thank you. Yeah, my kiddos come first, so... And I'm one of those moms, like, I don't want to put them in daycare if I don't have to. And I can work, like, 3 or 4 jobs around their schedules and make it work so that they don't have to be put in daycare and they can be home and spend time with me, or, be at their dad's and spend time with him, so. That's a big thing for me, too, is, like, I don't want them to just feel like they're just, a problem and that I have to, like, get rid of them or whatever. I really want them to feel like they have their own place and their own, home that they can go to and not have to be in daycare all day, so. But they get out of, like, school early, because they get out at, like, 2:20, so all my jobs have to, like, end before then, or they have to be stuff I can do while they're home, so. I don't know, we'll see how that all works after. Because right now, like, splitting time with their dad, but I don't know how that's all gonna work, because he got a new job, and it's in another state, so, I don't know how that's all gonna work out, because he might move to Washington, and that'll make things weird too, so. But if we split time, we'll see what happens. And splitting time's nice, because on the days that I don't have them, I can do stuff like this, and work on my YouTube, and I don't know, other stuff like that. Or clean my house, because it's much easier to clean when they're not here. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yes, I will work on that sticker stuff tonight and see if I can get the sticker party stuff to work, because I think the stickers are fun. There's a bunch of them, but that the show? I think so. I don't think I have anything else for today. I'll probably have stuff tomorrow. I'm probably going to be on in the afternoons now, since my work, I don't get done with work till 1, so. But I got on at, like, what, 2:30 today or something, so I might just have to do this time on, like, Monday, Tuesdays, and then we'll see what happens. So Monday, Tuesdays, I definitely will have time to do, but Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays are iffy, because I have my job, and Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays I'm gonna have my kids, so unless I do it, like, super early in the morning, like 9 a.m., but I don't know if I'm gonna do that or not, so I'll work it out. Or I can just do, like, an evening show, like, after they go to bed, because they go to bed at 8, so. Bye, Color Me Satanist. Have a good day. Thank you to all my patrons. You guys are awesome. If you're not a patron and you want to be, you can go to patreon.com/overprotectedatheist. My very first patron just got his reward for being a patron. Yay! If you are a patron for 3 months straight, you get a Overprotected Atheist sticker for free sent to you. I'm super excited. My first patron got his, and he put it on his water bottle, he said, and he said he's gonna be a viewer for life, so he's excited that he got that. If you want to be a patron and support me and get awesome stuff like that, support me for 3 months and you will get an awesome Overprotected Atheist sticker in the mail. You also get to see videos I put up for my YouTube early. I always put those up a few days before I actually post them on YouTube, so that my patrons can see them first. And yeah, and sometimes I just post things on there that other people can't see. Like, I've done a couple writings and stuff on there that only my patrons get to see, so if you guys want to see some of that, you can go to my Patreon. If you haven't checked out my other channels, I have YouTube, Overprotected Atheist. Oh, here we go. Twitter, OP_Atheist. Facebook, Overprotected Atheist. Instagram, Overprotected Atheist. Or you can find all my stuff on overprotectedatheist.com. And it's from my Teespring store is on there too. So if you go to overprotectedatheist.com, if you want your own sticker and stuff and you don't want to be a patron and would like to support me that way, you can go to my Teespring store on overprotectedatheist.com. I don't have everything posted on there, but I have a lot of the products I have on there, so yeah. It's been fun. Hope you all enjoyed my Princess Peach hat. I'll have to get more hats. I don't think my mini one's gonna work because it kept slipping off my head like the crown. I missed so much because I was watching TV with my wife. That's okay. It's nice to have some downtime and chill with your significant other. You're fine. You can always go back and watch it on my video on demand too. That's the great thing about this, is that they keep them for a certain amount of time so you can actually watch them. Also, if there's past videos that aren't left on Twitch, I do upload them to YouTube. So if you guys have past videos from Twitch that you didn't see and you want to see and they got deleted, you can always go check out my YouTube too. So we have COVID. Oh no! I'm so sorry, Omega. That sucks. I hope you get better soon. That's not fun. But at least you have TV to just chill and watch. Yeah. Thank you all for coming. Let me see if there's anybody we can raid before I peace out. Raid, raid, raid. Na, na, na. Oh, my thing just got messed up. Okay. Well, let's see. Let's see if we got anybody to raid. Do. Did you see her pull elf rise out of her crown? Oh my god. Just eat them while I'm going. Oh. Rowland's on. We'll raid her. Him. Her. They. I don't know what they go by.
It's my birthday as well, apparently. I'm allowed to go wherever the fuck I want, bitch. Nobody is old while Valis here. Well, apparently I'm 30 after having like...
Alright, I'm gonna raid her. Him. Her. They. Sorry, I don't know your pronouns. Now I feel terrible. I don't know everybody's pronouns sometimes, and I don't want to, like, misgender people. Sorry, I was just trying to see who was on to, like, raid. Because it's good to raid. Raid time! We are gonna raid. We are gonna raid. If my computer decides to go. Raid now. Go. Yeah. Alright, friends. Have an awesome day.